Mrs. Green Apple and the Variety mini album EP thing. We continue our track by track listen through with the final track, Dotoku Tosara. I'm intrigued to see what we get with this one and how it finishes off the album, but just first of all, in case you didn't know, yes, I have been keeping up. In fact, I got notifications on my phone, and therefore I know that there is a new song called Wind in Town. In fact, there was a couple of new songs according to the notifications on my phone that have come out recently. However, I'm going to hold back. I'm going to wait till either there is the announcement of an album or there is a music video. Because it's going to be one of the two. Either it'll turn up with a music video, in which case I'll do a reaction to the whole thing and capture the whole release, or it'll be part of an album, in which case I'll add that as the, if there's a new album, that'll be the next album on my track-by-track album, listen through, album by album, listen through as it's becoming these days. So yeah, I'm intrigued to know, but I haven't listened to this song and I'm avoiding listening to it. So that's dedication to the cause, folks. I want to hear it, but I'm choosing not to. Luckily, because I'm in Korea at the moment, if I was in Japan, it would probably end up coming on the radio and spoiler it for me. It's be walking around the shopping mall near to the apartment, and it'd just be they start playing and think, ah. But no, luckily, well, I say luckily, I guess this is one good thing about the fact that I'm currently in Korea trying to get my new visa paperwork sorted out. I'm not going to get this spoiled for me, most likely. But anyway, we're back here with a much earlier point in their career, sort of a good more than 10 years earlier than the new song, and this is a Dotoku Tosara. It is the final track. As I mentioned with Zenmai, we had pretty sort of chilled out. The vibe was getting pretty chilled towards that. Still a song that had a good sort of energy to it, a bit of a bounce to it. I mean, this is an album that has been pretty high energy all the way through. I've been really impressed by just how much energy this has got. But let's see how this ends. I'm always intrigued because, as I say, I don't just react to the songs in their own right. I also see them as aspects of the album. I like to think of albums as a creation in their own right. Some people just think of them as a batch of songs, but to me, the band should, and usually does, order the songs, put them in a certain order. A lot of bands, we've heard about this with stuff like Hanabiya, they'll have songs that they like, but they'll deliberately leave it off the album because they don't feel it flows properly. So I think with a group with Omori at the helm, like Mrs. Green Apple, then I wouldn't be surprised to find that they are very careful with the way that they choose the songs on their albums, and therefore I'm going to go into this with the full respect for wanting to hear what is the final concluding message, the last taste, the coffee after the restaurant meal that they've decided to give us in the form of this song. And that's where we are. As I say, it's been a high energy album so far, so if they kept the high energy going, I think that'd be kind of an awesome, because they've also had variation, I will admit, but it's been variations of forms of good foot tapping. Zenmai perhaps brought us into a slightly more chilled space, but still. So if they kept the energy high, I would have nothing against that because it's been so good so far. However, if this was a bit of variation where they went all the way for ending on a ballad, which does seem to be a Mrs. Green Apple staple, from what I've heard so far, then I would also be very happy with that. So no idea what to expect, but let's jump in and check out Dotoku Tosara together. Oh, I love that. Building into the final track from the penultimate track. Alright, balance off the table. That's beautifully chaotic. Love those little stabbing guitar sounds. The energy's still kind of low-key and building. The guitars are kind of already giving it a rock vibe. Again, the keyboard work on this album is so avant-garde, and yet works so well with the heavy rock vibes. With the heavy pop rock vibes. Yeah, it's just kind of throwing all the sounds at you. It's kind of anthemic. Love those little switches up there. It's kind of anthemic feeling. How's that little keyboard? That's a lovely melodic bridge. Right down at the beginning of the last chord. It's straight pop rock song in such a glorious way though. Yeah, it's weird how it's both got this rock energy and yet it feels so gloriously anthemic. I don't know, I got something for albums that like end with a blast of energy. Oh, that's nice. Sudden stop. Sudden stop. I really like that. Even considering that the actual song starts with that kind of fade in as well. Does it end with the fade in continuing and then cutting? Nice. Very nice choice. Yeah, so this is the quintessential example of finishing the album with a burst of energy. And I gotta be honest here, there's many ways you can end an album. You can have a big sing-along, you can have something quiet and thoughtful, or you can end with a quick blast of energy. I've always had a soft spot for albums that end like this, because it kind of leaves you wanting more, you know? The big anthemic finishes, they're the ones where you feel like, everything's complete, I'm so satisfied. But these ones are kind of the ones where it's like ends and you're like, I gotta go back to track one. I've got to go back to track one and start this again. So when it comes to this song, actually, structurally, it's funny. I don't want to call it simple because it's anything but simple, but it's very much a traditional structure. You know, you have your verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, all very normal kind of rock and roll structure. But there's so much going on here. I love that you've got that sort of always quick, moving and kind of changing chord pattern. It's always shifting underneath everything. The chord pattern is lovely. It's kinetic. It's bouncing along. The instrumentation, as always, is great. You know, you've got the multiple guitars. Here's a bit more strummy and rock and roll than it is in maybe in a lot of their other songs, but you've still got a lot of picking, a lot of interesting sort of layered guitar. Bass work again is really cool. Keyboard work again on this album has been very impressive and again really standing out. Loving kind of how it just feels sort of jazzy, a lot of just little bits of improv, almost feeling like improv keyboard bits just appearing here, like a little bit of a little run, a little bit of a sparkler keyboard here and there. I really love how that's giving so much character and a little bit more unpredictability, because a lot of the time you've got high energy rock and roll song, you can suffer from it being kind of energetic, but maybe a little bit predictable. And kind of the keyboard just gives it a slightly unpredictable, weird feeling underneath, which I appreciated. I thought that was nice. I thought it was characterful. It certainly felt in line with everything that was happening in the song, but kind of gave it a little bit of a playful silliness. And I really think the keyboard added a lot to this. The song itself does have little moments, little stops and starts and things, but it's most of what the song's doing writing style, even down to, again, that kind of familiar melody scale. It's very much stuff we've heard from Mrs. Green Apple before. It's not like breaking the mold or changing anything, although I will say this is a very early song, so the mold I'm probably referring to is a mold that may have come into place long after the band long after this song was released. However, I will just say that this, to be honest, it felt very familiar. Not like a standout song from Mrs. Green Apple, but a song that, in its position, at the end of this album. Very effective. Simply taken out of context of Mrs. Green Apple at all and just looked at as a piece of enjoyable listening. Good rock song, great sort of high speed chord changes. Doesn't outstay its welcome despite being over 4 minutes long. Nice, pretty catchy melody and a lovely thick arrangement. This to me just feels like a song that is a lot of fun and well structured and everything. It's really great when you've got a song like this that is like, okay, it's not a standout Mrs. Green Apple song. It's a good one, but it's not a standout one. It's not like, oh my god, that's now my new favourite. It's like, oh, it's a top 10 Mrs. Green Apple song. It's just a good, solid Mrs. Green Apple song. And yet I can say that about a song like this, that I must admit, if this came from most other bands, I'd be like, pretty peak. So, I genuinely feel like normal, average for Mrs. Green Apple is pretty high quality for most other bands. And that's really cool. It's really great to be able to say that, especially about a band like this who obviously have such a high position in the charts of all places. I mean, I don't even like talking about the charts because they're so bloody irrelevant. But, this is a household name kind of band. And so I just found this very enjoyable, very impressive, and what a great way to end the album. So as you can probably expect, we'll be moving on to a little bit more Mrs. Green Apple because this was fun. I really enjoyed this one. I think though, after I will go and check the Proper Chronology website. They got it on their website with the orders. I think after Variety, we have to go to the first full length album, right? Is it 12? There's one called 5. I'll check the Proper Chronology on their website. But I think the next one we're listening to is another full length album because we've already done Antenna and Attitude. I think we're going to have their first full-length album will be our next listen, but I'll double-check the chronology and make sure that's right. But as always, get in the comments, tell me what you thought. I thought this was really enjoyable, but I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys say. Hopefully have a little bit of a chat about it below. And until I do hopefully see you in the comments or in the next one of these. Until then, for now, ciao, ciao.